our current focus is on ensuring that our clients survive the current crisis and are well prepared to revive and thrive as we all emerge on the other side. So today's presentation is just one of a number of talks that we're planning to help you to run better businesses and achieve your goals. So for those of you who are perhaps unfamiliar with Robson Laidler, we're a large regional multi-speciality accountancy practice with offices in Jesmond and Chesterley Street. We carry out all of the traditional accountancy functions, and we have specialisms in the charity sector, GP and dental practices, and Nick's business innovation team deliver real efficiencies through their knowledge and expertise in cloud accounting and associated apps. Now, 2020 is Robson Laidler's 100th anniversary, and to mark that, we've revisited our core values to reinforce our overriding commitment to our clients, our colleagues, and our community. And you can see our core values on the screen here. And along that message, our current focus is on ensuring that our clients survive the current crisis and are well prepared to revive and thrive as we all emerge on the other side. So today's presentation is just one of a number of talks that we're planning to help you to run better businesses and achieve your goals. So the thought for today's session is that unless structure follows strategy, inefficiency results. Your plan and your structure are inextricably linked. Let me give you a couple of examples. You may have a great business plan. Perhaps you've gone through the 7 ways to grow your business and have successfully increased your sales. But what also goes up when sales go up? That's right, debtors. And you'll need more stock, raw materials, or labour too. So those costs also go up. How does this impact your cash flow? So having a strong finance department and strict terms of trade is essential. Or let's say you're tapped out, spent and exhausted, and therefore your plan reflects your desire to have more worry-free time away from the business. Perhaps you want to spend more time with your children, or even coach your kids' football team. Having a clear organisation structure will enable you to delegate roles and responsibilities to the rest of your team, so you can free up your time. Now Nick's going to take us through today's agenda.
Hi, so on today's agenda, we're going to cover these 7 key steps. As you can see on the screen there, hopefully, step 1 is your mindset. Number 2 is the ceiling of complexity. Step 3 is freeing up your time and capacity. And step 4 is the 10 hats that every business has. Step 5 is the 4 key principles of an organisation chart. 6 is the function, roles and expectations. And 7 is what we can do next to help. So at the end of this presentation today, Gemma's going to email you all over copies of these slides where you can write up your notes and ideas and put them to the relevant sections. But more importantly, it's vital that you write down some actions. So if you come out of this session today with 3 actions you can put in place in your business, for us, that's a huge success. One of the biggest problems in small businesses I find is FTI. So what do you think FTI means? As you can see there, that nice hand is writing, failure to implement. If you don't write down your actions, you won't remember them. Just as if you don't write down your business goals for the next year, you're going to be far less likely to actually achieve them. We want you to get the maximum value you can from this session. So if you've got any questions or you've got any insights that you want to share with everybody, just put it in the comments box and we'll pick that up as we go through. So we're going to cover the mindset that you need to achieve greater control of your business today. Then I'll share the concept known as the ceiling of complexity, or Bob will, and we'll discuss how you can free up your time and capacity. We'll go through the 10 hats and why every business has them. And that'll lead nicely on to the key principles of the organisation chart, the functions, roles and expectations of each department, or hat in this case. Most importantly, in my opinion, it's accountability time. After that, the time for you to decide what you're going to do as a result of coming along to today's session. I want you to come away from it with at least 3 clear actions, and those actions, you should know that are going to make a big difference. We'll try our best to keep the session straightforward and to the point with a little bit of humour along the way, hopefully.
Thanks, Nick. So before we get started, I want to talk about your mindset. You can do this and you should do this. Who's responsible for your business plan and your structure? That's right, you are. But hold on, what happens if you're just so exhausted, already working long hours and feeling out of control because of cash flow problems, poor team performance, or your competitors dropping their prices? Who's responsible for this? When you honestly think about the challenges in your business, do you feel that the problems are out of control? Or do you believe that you are in control? So let's put some perspective on this with one of our favourite business models.
So on the screen here, you can see the OBED model. I don't know if anybody's seen this before, or have you even heard of it? If you have you ever shared it with somebody else? The real power in this model is felt when you share it with others. For those who haven't seen it before, here's a quick explanation. So the OBED behaviour concept is a great tool, and it's used mainly for improving employees' motivation, communication, engagement, and getting better results in a group situation. So you see the bold line along the middle there? That line separates businesses that are great from the average ones and success from failure. So behaviours such as making excuses, blaming others, being confused, and negativity, they all fall below the line. When we're acting above the line, we focus on the team effort and we take ownership, we show commitment, we create solutions to problems, and we take determined actions for the collective outcome. Well, we can't control the behaviour of others, we can control the way that we behave and we demonstrate, and by living above the line, we're encouraging others to do so too. So you could be thinking right now that there's no way that you can restructure the operations of your business. Now, which below the line thought would that be, do you think? Well, that's denial. Or perhaps you're thinking that the reason that you are tapped out is that you just have to sort this cash flow issue or lift sales, and after that you'll be fine. So that's just making excuses. That's another below the line thinking. Or you might think that the reason your business isn't performing is because you've got some non-performing team members. Again, below the line thinking, that is blame. So what we're going to do is reframe those, but in an above the line way. So as the business owner, you're the only one who can improve the structure of your business. That's taking ownership. You owe it to your team to show them a better way, and that's accountability. And it's up to you to set clear expectations for each role in your business, whether it's an employee or a contractor, and that is taking responsibility. So the key thing here is you're not a victim, you've got a choice. So there's some great things you can do. First of all, I would say share the OBED model with your team and explain how, although you might think below the line about what's affecting your business, you've got to act above the line. And it's the same with all aspects of your business. You can't control the behaviour of others, you can only control your own.
Another really important mindset in business is to understand that as your business grows, you'll hit multiple ceilings of complexity. Let me explain how this model works. Take a look at the green line. As your business grows, you expect your return to go up in line with that growth. But is business really like that? The blue line represents reality. At first, your return grows, but then it can level off. Cash flow can get tight. Owners or team members can get burnt out, or the technology, plant and equipment or systems you adopted at the outset may no longer be appropriate for the size of your business. For example, If you're in building, initially you might start out with yourself and a couple of workers. You do a great job and you end up with referrals for more work. Turnover grows and you decide to take on a couple of extra guys. You're now running 2 teams, so you can get through more work as your business grows. But over time, you notice that the margins start to slip a little. Your return levels off. In fact, because you can't keep an eye on both teams at once, your productivity as the owner goes down, and mistakes made by your workers result in the return starting to drop. Has anyone experienced this in their business? i.e., you were making more money with a smaller team than you did with a bigger team? I can imagine a few heads nodding out there. So a very common response when this happens is to downsize your business and go back down the blue line. Run a leaner business with less stress, more control, and a slightly lower return. Other businesses find a breakthrough and can grow the business to a higher level and get a better return. What might that breakthrough be? A better pricing system, backcosting a few jobs to check that the actual margins achieved match what you set out to do, setting clearer job descriptions or expectations on each team member, and giving rewards for projects being completed on time and on budget, or simply having a weekly toolbox talk to set expectations and anticipate workflow requirements for the week. These are all examples of breakthroughs. So you have a choice. You can look for the breakthroughs, or you can step back down the blue line. As Nick said just now when he went through the Orbed model, you have a choice. Fixing your organization structure is so often that breakthrough you need if you want to go to the next level of return.
And of course, in order to get the full benefit of the organization structure breakthroughs, we need to be prepared to change. So there's 5 A's of change, and I'm just going to run through them all. So the first one's awareness. So we need to be aware that it's our structure that's holding us back. For example, now that we've got a bigger team, we need to work with that team in a better way. We can't keep an eye on everything anymore, so we need better systems and possibly better training, and we'll have to set clear expectations. The second A of change is acceptance. So we need to accept that change is needed. We've not chosen to go back down the blue line, and we can't keep working as we are, or we're going to blow ourselves apart or get even lower returns than we were when we were smaller. The third A is action. We need to recognise what actions we have to take. We need to know what we need to do to fix the structure. This seminar is a great starting point, but if the solution was that easy, you would have already figured it out for yourself. And the fourth A is accountability. Everybody needs accountability for completing actions, or we just don't do them. Many of you who are here today are probably already flat out. So unless you make a commitment to the actions required and you have somebody independent holding you to account, those actions just won't get done. And the last A is acknowledgement. When we achieve the levels of success, and that can be whatever you want it to be, we need to celebrate them to reinforce the behaviour needed that we need to continue to achieve success. So going back to the issue of a lack of time, there's a couple of things you can do. The first one is mindset, and the second is a time management tool that Bob's going to run through.
So John Lubbock, way back when in the early 1900s, said, "In truth, people can generally make time for what they choose to do. It's not really the time, but the will that is lacking." Remember our earlier mindset discussion, rather. As a business owner, you're the one who needs to be in control of your business. In order to do this, you need to gain control of your time. If you really want the breakthrough of growth for an improved organization structure, you need to choose to make time to do this. So this is the Achiever Matrix, one of the best models developed for improving time management. It was created by Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It allows you to prioritize your tasks based on their importance and urgency. In the top left here, there's the quadrant 1, the quadrant of urgency, and it represents things that are both urgent and important. This is where we handle an unhappy customer or meet a deadline. We need to spend some time in quadrant 1, but we also need to realize that many important activities become urgent through procrastination or because we don't do enough prevention and planning. Top right is quadrant 2, the quadrant of quality, and it represents things that are important but not urgent. Here's where we do our planning, anticipate and prevent problems, empower others, and develop our skills. Ignoring this quadrant feeds and enlarges quadrant 1. On the other hand, investing time in this quadrant will shrink quadrant 1. Bottom left is quadrant 3, the quadrant of deception. This represents things that are urgent but not important. The noise of urgency creates an illusion of importance, but the actual activities are usually only important to someone else. Many phone calls, meetings, emails, and drop-in visitors fall into this category. We end up spending a lot of time in this quadrant, meeting other people's expectations, and we fool ourselves into thinking that we're in quadrant 1. Lastly, quadrant 4, the quadrant of waste. It represents things that are not urgent and not important. Of course, we shouldn't be spending time here at all, but we all get a bit weary from being tossed around in quadrants 1 and 3. So we escape into quadrant 4 for survival. Quadrant 4 isn't survival, it's deterioration. It may initially feel nice, but it's empty time and ultimately not satisfying. Think back over the last week and trying to work out which quadrants did you spend most of your time in. For most people, it'll be quadrant 3. And what's the cost? The cost is that urgency is driving you, and that means you're not spending your time in the quadrant of quality. Creating that business plan, sorting out your organization structure, building deeper relationships with your clients and growing the skills of your team, these are the truly important activities, and they're just not receiving your time and attention. The key is learning to see all the activities in quadrant 3 in terms of how important they really are, rather than how important they appear at first glance. Then we can reclaim the time we lose to the deception of urgency and spend that time in quadrant 2. Now Nick's going to give us an alternative take on this Achiever Matrix.
Yeah, so I've been on a lot of courses and read a lot of books about the Achiever Matrix, and I think this summarizes it quite nicely. I would call it the 4 Ds of time management, and the Ds are do it, defer it, delegate it, or delete it. We're better with numbers than we are with spelling, because as you can see there's only 3 Ds and an S. But that schedule will be defer in this case. And another really common question, and it's quite hard to decide what's important and what's not important. And the easiest way I can describe that to anybody is how severe is the consequence of not doing something? So if you don't do it and it's going to have massive repercussions as a result, then that would be important. Things that aren't important tend not to have a massive consequence. So hopefully that little tip helps you out there.
Great, thanks Nick. So these are the 10 hats, otherwise known as departments, and they exist in every business. I want you to ponder which hats you're currently wearing. Do you look something like our friend over here? Getting your organization structure right allows you to take off some of those hats and delegate them to someone else. Before we drill down into the functions and responsibilities of each hat, let's consider the 4 key principles you must never forget when developing your organization chart. There can only ever be one leader of the business and one leader of each department. One person can wear multiple hats. For example, the chief executive officer can also be the sales manager, but 2 people can't lead the business or lead one department. Otherwise, there's confusion for the team as to who they report to and where the accountability lies. There's a big difference between doing something and being responsible for it. Bottlenecks often occur because someone thinks that they have to do everything they're responsible for. If you delegate a task, you're still responsible for it. You're just no longer the person doing it. Always define the role first. Get clear on who is doing what, but don't shape the role around a person. Lastly, in order to fully understand which department each key responsibility fits into, it's useful to look at the function of each department.
So let's look at those functions. Down the side there, we've got a number of departments, and I would normally have this a bit interactive and ask you what the shareholder does, but I'm just going to read them out here. So the shareholder, their function is to finance the business, provide the money, the equity to keep the business going. The director, their function is to maximize the shareholder value. The leadership department, their function is to implement plans efficiently. The product and services department, they develop the products or services that are sold or provided. Operations, they generate cash. Marketing, they generate leads. Sales, they convert prospects or leads into customers who pay cash. Finance, they manage the cash. The HR department will enroll and engage the team. And the admin and IT department, their main responsibility or function is to maximize efficiency. So what we're going to see on the screen now is an organization structure for the 10 hats and how they all relate to each other. So you can see the black line across the middle there. The departments that are above the line, the shareholder and the director departments, they're strategic in nature. So their roles have a long-term outlook and they set the future direction for the business. Below the line are the operational departments, starting with leadership, the one leader of the remaining 7 departments. These departments deliver on the strategy set from above the line.
I think this is you, Nick.
Let's do it. So, can you remember the 4th key principle of the 10 hats? If you can't, it was function determines responsibility. So if you're not sure which department a task belongs to, refer to the function of that department. Without the roles that you need within each department, work out the roles you need for each department, remembering that some could be part-time or even contracted out, and create a list of key responsibilities for each role. For example, the function of the operations department is to generate cash. You might currently have people in your operations team who are making calls to slow paying debtors. Well, that's actually the function of the finance department, managing cash. So this task should be passed on to your finance team, which in turn is going to free up the operations team to generate more cash. Likewise, you might have operations team members doing admin tasks. So these tasks are supposed to increase efficiency, and that function is of the administration department. So you need to move them out of operations and move them into the admin team.
Thanks, Nick. So to demonstrate this further, we're going to work through the tasks and responsibilities of a marketing manager's role. And for this, I'm going to hand over to Gemma because she's an expert in this field.
Hi everyone, as Robson Laidler's marketing manager, I thought it would make sense me doing these slides. So yeah, if the function of a marketing manager is to generate leads, then what should their key responsibilities actually be? As a clue, a couple are stated in this slide, but I'll actually go through the numbered responsibilities now. So the key roles of a marketing manager. Obviously, the function is to generate leads and the key responsibilities are to be in charge of the marketing plan. So this is aligned to your business strategy. The marketing campaigns, so these could be seasonal, themed, event management, speaks for itself, internal and external brand development, which could be working with a brand partner or agency, development of the marketing collateral, so this is your products, your leaflets, stationery, etc. Alliance building with stakeholders, database management, this could be through a CRM system, and reporting and evaluating.
Thanks, Gemma. I think Nick.
Yeah, thanks, Gemma. So now we've had a look at the marketing department and the potential key tasks and responsibilities of the marketing manager role. Of course, they're going to differ from business to business, but can you start to imagine how clarifying these aspects of a role can help the entire team? A clear job description is going to strengthen expectations, priorities, reporting lines, and much more. When we undertake this process across all 10 departments in your business, the clarity is exponential. This simply is best practice, and it's going to ensure that no department is neglected, and it's ultimately going to build you a more sustainable and scalable business. When you, as the leader, identify the hats that you're wearing right now, and you can act above the line and address those that perhaps you don't have the capacity or skill set to do well. Identifying the hats that you're prepared to delegate is empowering. It's also an opportunity to empower a member of your team, or at least offer a clear path for progression. And when you've removed those hats, you'll notice that the world doesn't actually end. And a lot of the non-critical problems don't actually come to you anymore. It frees up your time and gives you less stress.
So if what we've been talking about today has resonated with you and you've realised that you need to fix your organisation structure, we recommend that you come along to our 10 Hats Group workshops. The workshop programme consists of three workshops where we'll help you to develop your organisation chart and flesh out 2 roles. We'll also help you to create a plan to roll out your new organisation structure so you can free up your time and increase your effectiveness. As we mentioned at the beginning of this session, the biggest problem in small business is FTI, or failure to implement. You are in control of where you spend your time. So here are some ways that we can help you spend your time wisely and invest in your structure. If you're interested in participating in our 10 Hats workshop, the price is normally £125 plus VAT per delegate. But during these challenging times, we've reduced that to £50 plus VAT just to cover our costs. Dates and format, i.e. whether it's online or in person, are to be confirmed. We also offer an organisational review service where we work with you on a one-to-one basis to develop your organisation chart. If you're not sure whether your organisation structure is the biggest challenge in your business right now, you're welcome to meet with one of our team members for a complimentary 60-minute session to discuss your goals for your business and how we can help you to achieve them. So the complimentary client review is for existing clients, and the proactive accounting meeting is for people who aren't currently clients. Either way, it's a complimentary meeting. So the next steps are actually, are you doing this bit? Nick, are you picking up on this one? I can't remember.
Bob.
Sorry?
You can carry on.
So this is just was saying that Gemma will be emailing you with an evaluation form. We're very grateful if you could complete that. That'll tell us whether you would like to take up one of these offers that we've just put up on the board there. So you need to identify the 3 most important actions that you're going to take after today's session. That's the most important thing. Will you do nothing? Will you retreat? Will you take normal amounts of action or take massive amounts of action? We'd recommend that you take massive amounts of action because it's only then that you'll actually see some benefit in your business.
So there are funding options available for anybody who would like to take up our services or would like to grow their business but struggle to find funding elsewhere. And we're proud to be working with the NEL fund managers, and they're offering unsecured loans and mezzanine and equity investments to Northeast businesses. These are different than the normal high street loans because of the unsecured aspect of it. And they've got two main loan funds. They've got the small loan fund, which is borrowing anything between 10 and 100,000, and the growth capital fund, which is for anything up to $500,000. What's really interesting and quite good is that you can also get up to 35% funding towards these type of services from us. Now the criteria is you have to spend between £3,000 and £8,000. The service that we've just discussed here for a one-to-one session was £850. And what we'd expect is off the back of that, we would have regular meetings and catch-ups, which would hopefully get you into that £3,000 to £8,000 bracket to get the funding. And it wouldn't be right of me as an accountant not to say that this is also tax deductible. So you'll save corporation tax there as well.
I just wanted to end by saying thank you to everyone for joining us on the webinar today. Hope you enjoyed it. As Bob said at the beginning, at Robson Laidler, one of our core values is to create real connections. And that doesn't just mean with our staff and clients, that means with the wider community. So as such, we're partners of the Global Buy One, Give One initiative, where we give back in meaningful and impactful ways to help the UN achieve its global goals. So to everyone that has attended today's webinar, we're going to donate 6 days of access to e-learning to children in India as part of that. So thank you very much for coming along. Thank you. Thank you for making an impact.